Welcome to the Wednesday night service. It's another Dick and Jay conversation. Before we get started, we have our opening prayer. From the Home Center Ministerial Team, Minister of Prayer, Reverend Joe Pinecoffer. As we start our service in gratitude and thankfulness for this beautiful day, may our message be inspirational for our listeners. May our message be a blessing to all, and as we count our blessings, show us how we can make a difference in our world, no matter how big, no matter how small. I know to love who I am, love who I will become, love and forgive who I used to be. I will not seek to be loved, I will seek to love others. These thoughts and these emotions are my truth. In God and Christ, love and light, it is so. Amen. And those are words from our Reverend Joe Pinecoffer, who shows great fortitude and steadfast focus on life and love as he helps us through these periods of time now at the Home Center.
And so I'm Jay, and I'd like to cut into something on Joe. When he was 35, on his birthday, he went to see a doctor because he wasn't feeling too super, and the doctor looked at him and checked them all out, and they gave him the prediction. In 10 years, he'd be dead because he has Parkinson's. Well, he's now celebrated his 65th birthday, so he's lived 30 years beyond it. So it's a question, that's what we're going to walk around with. Where is your attitude when someone says you're a negative to you? Can you just dismiss it and put a positive in there? What do you want to really live with? Isn't that where we're going to go?
Yep.
So let's start out in your part.
Well, I'm going to mention something that just sets the picture for what we are all made from and of. About 2 years ago, scientists discovered that every cell in the human body, and there are trillions of cells in our bodies, some more cells in other bodies, but trillions of cells. But every cell, whether it's a skin cell that's soft or a bone cell that's very dense, a toenail, an eyelash, they all are glowing. They are all emitting photons. 100,000 photons per second are coming out of every cell in every body on this planet. To us, the way our eyes are built, we look solid and we feel solid and we taste and all those things. But the body is really made out of light, and science has yet to explain how the slowdown in our awareness of the body makes us see solids versus the actual etheric light that's coming from the body. That was a revelation to me. This is a couple of years ago now, because we've been talking about ourselves as light workers for a long time. And here it is, science has found out, just through the back door sort of, that we're all light. Not all of us, yes, all of us, but all of us, if you follow me, are light. In spite of what we see and think and touch. If we get our head around that, I think we're going to find out that in our futures that healing and repairing the body is going to become quite fun and quite doable as well. Okay, let's see where we go.
Yeah, well, when you think of that light worker, and we're generating new cells all the time, let's take Joe. When they told him he only got 10 years, he says that's not enough. So he wants more, but he looks in the mirror, he sees a person still being here. So instead of having 10 years, he's got 30 years on him already. And he's still going. And the same thing with a lot of times when we come up to a person and we say to them, what's wrong, and they give you the lists of what's wrong with them, but they never tell you how are they adapting to the list. Are they accepting the diagnosis, or are they saying, I'm going to go against it, I'm going to work at it? I have the power to design the cells, so why don't I reproduce cells like I used to have that are functioning, and the autonomic nervous system, the whole system knows what was, so it can replace it. And so this is the story, is we got all of these cells being generated, new ones are born, we got a DNA that we can change to make it so. Everything is not written in stone. It is just saying, here's a way of going at it. And when you talk to sometimes to people who are having a problem with the health, they quote the doctor as his gospel, and there's nothing he can do about it. But all of you out there, you must run into some people that don't play according to the rules. The rule says, if I declare you dead, you're supposed to be dead, but you're not. You're going to recover, and you're going to be walking upright and doing everything you need. But you have to decide what it is that you want it to be. Like, if they said to you, we do a game here after the first of the year, a board that we put together, all the things we'd like to have in our lives, and health and all of this stuff. So all year long, we're supposed to be sending Mother Earth's energy to that board saying, these are the things that I'll accept. It's, what do you want in your life? And to me, I've always lived with that. I put something on a board, and what does it take to make it happen? Regeneration in the body, changing something. I keep talking to myself, telling it must find a way, and using God's energy, God's healing energy from the spiritual people working with us. Show me how to do this, how to change the picture to what I want on my board, my goals for the year. And you got anything you want to add to that?
Anyone that's been to the home center and seen me realizes that I'm walking with a cane now. And I want to explain about what things I'm faced with and what I'm working with, and you can, as these things go on, see how if it's improving or not. When I was 8 years old, I had polio, and I was in an iron lung. And the doctors told my folks that that was where I was going to be for the rest of my life. I'm glad they were wrong, because that's kind of a small space, but this brought a memory up, or a news article brought this memory up. They were shooting down at a guy in an iron lung just the last week or so. He was one of the last remaining people from the 50s that came down with polio, and had been in an iron lung all his life. He took the fall, I guess, for me. I didn't have to do that, fortunately. But one of the things that created a problem for me is the ideas that get stuck in our minds. And when you're a youngster, 8, 10 years old, it's very easy for a doctor, when you go in to see him, say, well, Mom and Dad, your son is really healing quite well, but in the future, these kind of things are going to happen. He's going to be stumbling and falling and not being able to do things right. His nervous system is going to degrade. Well, I'm a 10-year-old, and I'm hearing this stuff, and so it's like in this ear and out this ear, but enough of it sticks. So 70 years later, suddenly I'm walking with a cane, and I'm having trouble standing up and these kind of things. During this time, I watch Cryon, and he talks about telling your body, as each cell renews itself, tell it, I don't want a current cell. I don't want you making a replica of yourself. I want you making a replica of the last healthy person in this DNA line so that this body begins to regenerate itself. And when I saw that, it clicked. I remembered the message I got 70 years ago from the doctor about, hey, you're going to start falling apart here. Well, there's a good example right here. I mean, you may think Jay's falling apart. He thinks he's falling apart. The rest of us could look at him and say, no, he's not. He's already 90. And I got a ways to go.
Yeah.
So I know that the things that we believe in, using the mind, the body is all light, so I can focus on the fact that it's light, and as the cells regenerate, I want a cell that's going to vibrate as a healthy cell in this body. And I've been working on that for about 2 weeks now, and I'm feeling much more steady on my feet. So you might say it's all a matter of mind over matter, actually.
There we go. I think this is what we're really talking about between the two of us. Since I was 19, Thomas said to me I lived to be 83. And down through time, people would say, well, 83 is good enough. But 83 at 19 seems a long ways away. As I got closer, it didn't seem a long ways away. And then it started changing the consciousness of what to do to make a difference. When I was 49, I slipped a disc, and the doctor was going to put me in the hospital right away and do the surgery and all that stuff. And I said, I've read enough books that says I need to get prepared for this. I need to tell the body what I want it to do. And I spent the next 2 or 3 days mostly in bed because the back was some real pain, and talking to myself, saying, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other thing. So they finally said, you have to come in at least on Friday to make sure you have a bed for Monday. So I showed up on Friday, and I was in a private, well, there was 2 of us in the room, and I've been educating, pulling in Mother Earth to rebuild the cells, do whatever they're going to do to repair it, and we're going to be doing normal. Everything is going to be normal. And within a couple of days, I'm up and walking without any problem, but I'm having a problem. And it comes to find out they were over-medicating me. And I said, God, quit this. Well, to make a long story short, I was had the surgery on Monday. The following Monday, I was out of the hospital and back at home and doing the limited exercise, they said. And the following Monday, I have a friend Joe we talk about. We went for a walk, and we got to an area around Cleveland, and we started down this hill where we're using vines to hold, and we get to the bottom of the hill, and I'm looking at him, and I said, 2 weeks ago, didn't I have surgery on my back? And here I am, falling down this mountain, or this hillside, and I had no bad results. And the only thing that keeps coming back to me is, for that whole week, I kept seeing my cells regenerating better than they were before the problem. I want it to be like before the problem. And that's what came, because that's what I settled on. That's what I told the autonomic nervous system to do. Any parts of generating pieces in there. The mechanic repaired it. Now all you got to do is put all the pieces together like it was before the problem. And I was out and walking, and my wife and the people on this said, well, didn't you have back surgery? Yes. You're supposed to be walking around with a cane. You're supposed to be doing... No. I have the creator who made the soul. I've got Mother Earth, the products are building cells every day. So why don't we settle for the right action to take place? and make a go of it. You're doing the same thing. We keep talking to the body. When I turned 83, I said, that's not long enough. We got to keep this thing moving down the road. I'm hoping to make it to 100. The goal is I want that letter from the president saying, you've been on Social Security long enough. But really, like we're talking to you and to the world out there, don't take the sentence from the person who says, this is options. What do you want? What do you want to make your life into? If you think on poverty, poverty be your world. If you think on poor health will be your world. It might not happen today, it may happen next year, and you're going to say, well, why is this happening to me? You planted the seed, it took that long for it to germinate, and here's the event to make it possible. You need to continually program yourself. What do you want? It's like, this is like a computer to me. What do you want to put in the memory bank? And what you don't like in there, get in there and delete it, and put some other things in there. You're the master of this vessel. You're the recipients of its instructions. What do you want it to do for you? And what kind of style of life do you want? It may take time. I never seen anything done in a hurry. Like Arthur Murray, remember Arthur Murray?
Mm-hmm.
I can teach you how to dance in a hurry. Well, it's more than that. It's making it a lifestyle, entitlement. When I entered this metaphysical world, one of the things I met right off the bat was 3 ladies that were in their 70s and 80s, and their activity was, and they've laid it on to me, it's, I'm going to walk uprightly before God and mankind all the days of my life, and when the time is up, it's out the light. And one by one over the years, that's how it went for them. They walked upright, and it was either heart attack or stroke or something that just one day, and they were gone. But they lived a full life in the 80s and 90s, and they were doing things, and people says, you shouldn't be doing that for that age, and they said, why? I know I can do everything I want up to and I want to burn out the whole body at the same time, and in fact, one of them, they performed an autopsy on her, trying to figure out how almost a 90-year-old, what caused her death. What caused her death was all the heart, the liver, the kidneys, everything failed at the same time. It was, we're done. And she was ready to go. I'm done. I've done everything I want to do. Time's up. And it was. So, think on that. What do you think? Can you buy into that too?
Well, yeah. One of the things that is so insidious, and I experienced this, is the pronouncement 70 years ago that I'm going to have a problem when I get into my 70s. Well, I was so young there that just like, it did not register. But those kind of ideas that are planted into the human mind will sit there in the back somewhere, hidden, and you can clean out the closet, but if you can't get your fingers or your thoughts around it, there's going to be something sitting back there that's still eating at you. It's happened with me. I went through the Star Power class here with Jay a couple of years ago, and there are regression tapes, and the result of those were a lot of clearing of things, but it never got to that particular issue. That was it. Somehow it just didn't come up until I saw the guy in the news 2 weeks ago in a iron lung. So what I'm trying to say is there can be things that are hidden in our minds that are holding us back, that are preventing us from having a healthy body, and it may take a key event in your life, or it may take talking to somebody, a counselor, specifically to dredge that memory out. But once you get it out of there, or once you recognize it for what it is, then, like Jay is saying, you start programming what you want. And my ideal is a 45-year-old body. I was in Alaska then. I was hiking and canoeing and hunting all over the country. That's the goal I'm working at. And there's not going to be any room for a cane or a walking pole in there. So what I'm saying is, you can have things stuck in your memory. If you can get your hands around them and get rid of them, or get your hands around them and recognize them, then you can start getting rid of them, because they're just your light. Segue here for a little bit. The Russians back in the 1980s found out that they used a certain frequency of red laser light playing over a human body, and it was in the image of a healthy organ overlaying a sick organ in the body, whether it was a bone, whatever it was. The body would start responding to the laser light, the healthy image, and start becoming healthy. That's not even with the assistance of your directing it on purpose. That's just proving that if you are light and you get the right light there, your body can heal itself without being directed. Your body can heal itself by being directed much more effectively. But again, it's all light. And if you keep that in mind, I think it makes it a whole lot less daunting to think about, oh, can I heal lung cancer? Can I heal an inability to walk? Yes, you can do all of those things, anything. God created us. We're part of God. Everything is God. There's nothing that can't be done.
So, we beat this one up enough? Or?
Well, we could have. Well, I was thinking, before we even came into this one today, I was thinking about 4 words that I used to use I still use as a mantra for myself. And those 4 words define everything for me. And they are, God is. That's the statement. Not what it is, God is. And the second part of it is I am. And not what I am, but just I am. And if you think about those things, God is and I am. Why do we have problems in our world now? Well, mankind has this yearning need to define things. So God is black or he's white, or it's a he or a she, or he's tall and she's thin, or you see this, we always have to lay a description on something, where if we just left it alone, God is. That's all you need to say, because that's what the truth is. The same thing about ourselves. I am. Fat, tall, bald, thin, whatever. No, just I am, because you're part of God. If God is and you are, that's it. Now, if that didn't confuse anybody, I'm not trying hard. I'll turn it back to you then.
Well, I think it's we all do that. In fact, a person said to me the other day that they prayed to saints, and they said, and what do you do? And I said, I pray to God. Show me. You have hundreds of spiritual teachers over on the other side. Have one come and show me the way to unlock the door to the knowledge I need. And he said, well, what about these other saints? And I said, I like to go to Dad. I like to, because he's the one that created this world of mine, and we put it together for a function for the evolution of my soul. And he knows the right teacher to come, or I can attract the right teacher to come to me to find the answer. And you know, when I'm sitting here and we're talking about this, when I was back in Buffalo, I was learning the art of healing, tapping into Mother Earth and pulling in the chemicals, energy, thought patterns in the purest form necessary. And this, I was getting ready to go to church, and all of a sudden the heat started up, and I said, "What's cooking?" And this says, "What's part of the practice system?" So I go to church, and this woman I never seen before came up and sat down, and I put my fingers on her shoulder, and it was just a zap. All this that I collected on from my home to church was just there, and it was gone into her. And I just said a prayer, and then she got up and went and sat down, and she just appeared right after, so I never talked to her. And she came back the next week, and she lived 60 miles away, and she'd been to a doctor and wanting to do some health. It was a health issue that they couldn't get their hands around, they couldn't get it done. He was getting frustrated, finding no solutions. And all of a sudden she got this thought, there's a healer up in Buffalo, and it's a male, go sit with him. So she showed up, I tapped it, I didn't know what was there, what was needed. I was just the gatherer. And she said, then that night, at 3 o'clock in the morning, her whole body went into cleansing, and when she woke up finally in the day, she went back to see the doctor, and they said, "What did you do?" And she said, "I went to see this healer up in Buffalo." And I'm not pushing it for me for doing this. This was once in a time, because she set it in motion. All I was a worker. I didn't even know how to put all that together. Her body had reverted back. She was 42, and her body was back to being about 25, 26 years of age. Everything was healed inside that they've been trying for a long period of time to get it. All kinds of medicine, all kinds of activity. And it was her commitment to drive 60 miles to find it out. My commitment to say, can I help? But not trying to direct it. It's God's will, His healing angels. This is helping one another. And this is the same thing. You choose. You decide. And she decided, I want to get well. I'm tired of fooling around. Show me. Demand it. Why not you? That's why we're sitting here talking, is kind of working at how do I go about it. It isn't a particular rhyme or reason or what, if the fat or short or what God looks like. I don't care.
Yeah.
All I want to do is I want to get this vessel going, because I have X number of things to be done in this lifetime. Let's get it done. And I'm willing to do my part. The big word here is I'm willing to do my part. And the willingness is, if I get an impression from the universe, eat a particular product from the earth, will help regenerate these body cells. Drink particular water, I'll do that. I'll work with the inspiration because I asked for it. It's like when you take a pill, do you say to, this will take care of my problem, or do you just say, well, there goes another pill? Do I work with what I'm given to become what I want to be? And be careful what you want to be, because you get what you ask for, subconsciously or consciously. All right, back to you.
Well, I'm gonna break out of this and talk a little bit about the Star Power class, because I'm sure we'll be having some of those in the future, and I think that's a good thing for people to be aware that it's available to them if they want to. In the Star Power class that Jay has created, there are 5 different major energy sources. First one is your astrology chart. You have 12 points, and that's a very unique and human physical type energy. It's specific to the people and where you were born and when you were born. And it's something to be experienced at each point to see what resonates with you. The next class is the Star of David, which is a six-pointed, and it has physical as well as spiritual aspects. So it's taking two parts and making a whole out of them for the individual. On the third night, you have the Eastern Star, which there are 5 colors, and the colors. I used to have the word for it and I've lost it. The colors define
Vibration?
well, it is, each one's a unique vibration, but it's like plenty. Yellow is going to be your
Prosperity.
prosperity, there you go. Blue
Courage.
is courage. Green is
Faith.
faith or heart, yes.
Red for heart.
Red wasn't heart though, was it?
Yeah, red has to do with loving yourself.
Okay. Well, you can get frazzled and just lose contact with what
And
you're talking
white-
about sometimes.
And white is commanding knowledge.
White is commanding knowledge. When you get into that particular star and you start dealing with those issues, if you want to look at the issues, the white is like your connection to your Akashic record. So it's a much larger defined area of knowledge, and which piece of that spectrum that might resonate with you the most is the one you'll be drawn to. And you'll feel it when you sit in that point and going in the classroom. And the fourth class, is the Celtic cross. It has different points of the compass, and those points have to do with starting a project, finishing a project, taking a look at the project to see how it's going, or revising the project and doing it a different way. But your planning and your conception of yourself and what you are doing with society is the type of energy you're going to experience there. And then if you wish to take a step further, and it's up to the individual how you feel about it, you can add what I call the single-pointed star, where I combined all the points that were most resonant with me into a single concept. Now these energies are around us at all times. You need to be aware of them if you're going to use them effectively. Otherwise, you're just going to be at the whim and the currents that are in the universe, and it'll throw you around a bit. This is a class that I went to that set me way ahead of where I was at that, just like a 10-year jump is what I feel that happened just by going to the class with Jay. Since then, I've gone dozens of times. I'll go in and chaperone the group, if you will. I usually sit in the east point as an anchor, and if we have someone else that's with us, they'll sit in the west point, and we just kind of create an energy flow that's protective around everybody that's in the class. Specifically, the instructor who was dancing around those energies and in those energies with an individual at every stop. So there's an unshameful, unabashed commercial for the Star Power class, and I can't tell you really how much it meant to me. I had no concept when I walked into it. Science of mind, so I'm metaphysically bent, if you will, but that had nothing to compare to this. And at that point in time, now I just want to repair things and be around here and help shore up where energy is needed, and I guess that's where I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, well, we should leave some things for the next time we get together next month.
Yep.
Because we're going to be coming into Thanksgiving, and this is the time to mend all the fences and with the families, with the neighbors, but most of all, mend the fence with yourself. And then comes Christmas, and this is a time not to go out and just get drowned in the
Buying things.
But when you give a gift of, I care about you and how can I empower you to be more. The gift that gave Jesus was frankincense, myrrh, and gold, the most valuable things, and so you could have access to whatever you wanted. And this is what Christmas is about, is reconnecting a sense of loyalty and love and purpose of why we're together. And New Year's, I hope we all celebrate it, all of us that are watching this, that they're going to be here. We're not going to do anything foolish in November and December, because we have a lot of work to do. You, me, everyone. If we're going to make this a place where it exists because we are, God is.
Yes. And it says in Joe's prayer this evening, forgive yourself for who you were. Amen.
Amen.
Arms around the world, around each other. Arms around the world, sisters and brothers. Arms around the world and we discover. Arms around